Texas football prepares for a battle of the Blue Bloods. Warning, MLB teams may be closer to the playoffs than they appear. And how will the Longhorn volleyball team fare in December? Don't go anywhere. This is College Crossfire.
Longhorn Nation, we're back.
Guess we'll get into it. Always enthusiastic, unbelievable, hard-nosed.
All right, let me explain why Aaron Judd is getting it. You can boo me all you want.
I knew Texas was going to win, right? And then one of the Texas team was going to lose. Cannon.
I don't like the camera.
Wait, you don't like this guy? All right, I'm done.
This is all chaos.
Welcome back to College Crossfire. I'm your host, Turner Barnes, and we have a star-studded cast to kick off our broadcast season. On first base, we have James Grant. James, how are you doing?
Doing great, Turner. Happy to be here, man.
All right. On second base, Jake Herman. No relation to Tom Herman.
No relation, no relation, but hopefully, much like Tom Herman, I can be 1-0.
All right. Well, we got some boos already from the crowd.
You can boo me all you want.
Wow.
Third base, we have Zach Leff. Zach, how are you doing?
I'm excited just to be back and talk some Texas Longhorn football, yeah.
All right. Well, let's get right back into it. For the first time in the Tom Herman era, the Texas Longhorns are 1-0. In the 45-14 victory over Louisiana Tech, Sam Ehlinger was 28 of 38 for 276 yards and 4 passing touchdowns. And the defense didn't give up a point until just under 8 minutes left in the game. What was your initial reaction to the La Tech game, guys?
Well, I was really super impressed. I mean, I'm biased as a Longhorns fan. I mean, there wasn't much that, I was upset with watching that game. You had young guys already making it. I just love seeing that. Of course, we talked about before the show tonight, Brennan Eagles coming in, getting those 2 touchdown catches. That's great. Jake Smith, a lot of these young guys on both sides of the ball, and especially the offense getting reps, which I think is huge. Heading into the LSU game. So I was very pleased, and I felt like they really played a full game, which last season we didn't see sometimes. So it was good, to begin a new campaign, a new season, seeing the Longhorns play a full four quarters and really look good and show some confidence heading into LSU.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely, I agree with that. I mean, it was a big game. I mean, past 2 years they overlooked Maryland for the past 2 years. Unfortunately, that cost them. But this year they could have overlooked them knowing LSU was coming back in the next year, and they didn't do that at all. And I mean, it was a big deal, especially because, you got to set the tone off strong, and that's what I think. You talked about the offensive line. I'm going to go to the defensive side. I was pretty impressed with their team. Only returned 4 starters to that team, and then you add these new guys that came in, and they really impressed. I mean, they let up 0 points through 3 quarters. It was super impressive. I really liked Caden Stearns and those DBs. Really good. I mean, the safeties, I'm a little skeptical right now on the cornerbacks. I think the cornerback was the weakest play right there. I thought the linebackers were really good, but I really loved the defensive performance, especially against an LSU team that really impressed last weekend.
Right, there was a lot to be impressed about in this game, and for me, going back to some of Texas's big wins last year, you saw some of those same ingredients on display. The first of those being imposing your will up front. I thought Texas had a great push all night from the defensive line, held Louisiana Tech to about 73 rushing yards, very stout on the defensive front, and then offensively, Sam Ehlinger had great protection. He was sharp with the football, which allowed him to make good decisions and take care of the ball. Winning the turnover battle is huge for any team. It's something they're going to have to do all season if they want to accomplish their goals. They did it on Saturday. They're going to have to do it again.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys talked about some players on the defensive side who might have been a weak spot for some people coming into the year, and then also young guys on the offense. So who was a surprise performer for you guys? Just single one guy out or a couple?
I know we're all kind of, we were talking about the defense a little bit, and I got to say, Jalen Green, cornerback coming in out of Houston, I mean, he really looked great all night in coverage throughout the game. I mean, I was watching, Louisiana Tech, they had some big physical receivers, and, Jalen Green really held his own. So I know Caden Stearns, B.J. Foster, some of those other guys getting a lot of attention coming into the season. It's an improving secondary. But defensively, Green definitely looked good. I know, Zach, you mentioned the defensive line. Malcolm Roach, Keandre Coburn, a lot of those guys, true leaders on that side of the ball, and they looked really sharp as well. So, look for them to build on that momentum. Of course, I think everybody knows the offense is the strength of the team, but defensively, there were some positives to take away for sure.
Yeah, one of the biggest questions I had coming into the game, and a question I still have for the season, are who's going to fill the vacancies on offense left by Lil Jordan Humphrey and Andrew Beck, two of the leading receivers and captains, leaders on the team that left for the NFL. And there was one guy that stepped in for both of those roles at various times during that game, and that was Devin Duvernay. You saw him return the opening kick to give the Longhorns good field position. That's a Lil Jordan Humphrey role that he's filling in. And then you saw him act as that possession receiver, that go-to guy on third downs for Sam Ehlinger throughout the first half of that game. So I was impressed with him and looking for big things out of Duvernay this season.
Yeah, no, Duvernay was definitely a player I was surprised with, but I'll go to the receiver that James said earlier with Brendan Eagles. I think that's a very obvious answer, but it was really impressive. I mean, he only had 3 receptions, but 2 touchdowns on them and 2 big touchdowns. And I think with his 6'4", 225 frame, you have him on the outside, and you also have Colin Johnson. That's a big threat, and especially going against LSU, and they have a tough DB core. I mean, those guys will definitely push it, and then Duvernay can get the ball, maybe a Jake Smith. You know, these guys, these smaller guys can get the ball, and ultimately, I think Eagles is a guy to watch out for this year as we go on.
Yeah, definitely. All of those guys had really good games. Some surprised, some not so much. Devin Duvernay definitely stuck out to me. Had 9 catches on the game. Weren't expecting that at all.
No.
And last season, of course, a bunch of big catches. I mean, we saw early on, I think, Kansas State or one of those games, the diving catch in the end zone. And so we saw last season he flashed some of that big play potential, and then he's kind of, showed back up and kept the fire going this season. So
yeah, I was surprised with the wide receiver depth, honestly, because we did lose a Jordan Humphreys, and that was a big piece we lost, and you didn't really know who was going to step up, but we saw 5 to 6 receivers in that starting lineup in those first few quarters really make a difference. Like I said, Eagles, Duvernay, Smith, Johnson, the Epps even. These guys are stepping up, and Sam's got a lot of weapons this year, and a lot of people maybe think Sam's like a running quarterback, running in because of what he did against a team like Georgia, but with all these receivers, it's really a big deal.
Yeah, and so speaking of Devin Duvernay, he filled in a little bit at running back. That might have had a little bit to do with Jordan Whittington, a true freshman who had to leave the game, and we find out now that it's a sports hernia. He's going to be out for maybe around 6 weeks. So how big of an impact is that for the Texas offense?
It's huge. I mean, it really is, because you expect it to be a committee with Whittington and Ingram, because there's all these injuries already with with Kirk Johnson and Daniel Young, and now you're relying on a dual threat quarterback to step in, be your backup. LSU's probably salivating at the mouth of that, trying to strip the ball, knowing that he's barely played running back in his career, and then the third string is a linebacker who we don't even know if he can catch the ball out of the backfield. So it's huge that we lost him. Yeah.
Right, and you alluded to that about losing the check down option. Keontae Ingram has shown flashes of receiving, but I think in this game against LSU, we're going to have to see Keontae Ingram block against these blitz packages that are going to be brought by LSU. Ed Orgeron likes to bring his talented defensive backs to try to wreak havoc in the backfield, and so I think it's actually going to have a big impact on the Texas offense and closing down Tom Herman's playbook probably a little narrower than he would like to.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with you guys. I mean, it's definitely a big loss. We know Whittington coming in, highly touted recruit. We saw him flash that one play during the Louisiana Tech game, his shiftiness and versatility. So you're definitely losing a really, high-powered, athlete, a highly touted athlete with his loss. But, I look at Roschon Johnson, it's kind of like that whole next man up mentality. And, he, again, was another highly touted recruit. He's a big physical dude. I mean, with Ehlinger, I kind of alluded to earlier, that offense is definitely the strength of the team. And Whittington's loss will hurt, but there's enough depth, I think, to where guys like Roschon will fill in. And I have a lot of confidence in Ingram, so I think they'll be all right.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys all made really good points. Moving on, the Texas Longhorns are ranked number 9 coming into this week, but LSU Tigers, number 6, Joe Burrow and company, coming into Austin, looking to make a big statement win. What do you guys expect to see in Saturday's matchup?
Well, I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, on paper, I've been saying this for a while. I think they're pretty equal teams. I mean, Ehlinger, Burrow, both great quarterbacks. I think us being at home inside DKR, that's definitely a big advantage. I mean, you got to love home field, especially this early in the season. And so I think Ehlinger's going to make enough plays, late in the game. And I think we're going to protect the ball. And I think we're going to have some guys on the secondary, possibly Stearns, Foster, get a key interception, turnover late in the game, and it's going to really shift things. And I think Texas is going to escape with the victory.
All right, we got one Texas victory.
That's it.
Right.
With the burnt orange.
Well, LSU's favored in this game for a reason. They come in with a lot of returning starters. They come in with a very poised quarterback who's a dual threat. hold on, okay? Because there is one caveat to that, and that is that under Ed Orgeron, LSU has struggled to beat quality opponents in true road games. Just 1-4 in the last 2 years on the road against teams that finish with a winning record. You look at Tom Herman's record as an underdog, it's well publicized that he has 5 outright wins as an underdog in his last 2 years as the Texas head coach. I think the Longhorns fall behind early in this one as LSU comes out strong, but Texas defense will make enough plays down the stretch, and once that offense opens up their playbook, Texas will be able to come back and win close.
Yeah, I mean, this is an excellent matchup. It's rare you get a top 10 matchup this early, and for LSU, they haven't played a top 10 team in non-conference on the road in 50 years. So for them, they're probably really hungry to come in here and upset in Austin, do their deal. And it's a really interesting matchup. I love to highlight, honestly, Joe Burrows because, I mean, for an LSU team that's known for pound and ground, Fournette, Geis, and to have a guy like Burrows step up in his second year, have a consistent quarterback, because they've always been trying to look for that quarterback. They've had talent across the board, but the quarterback's been a big issue for them for years. So I'm really interested to see the battle between Burrows and Ellinger and the battles between the safeties of Caden Stern versus Burrow versus Grant Delpit, who's one of the best players in the country, versus Ellinger. So it should be a really interesting matchup. I mean, it's really, really tough to call, but I'm going to go Texas also. I just think the home crowd is a big deal in this situation. If it was in Baton Rouge, it might be a different situation, but I really do think it's like a field goal game with Texas pulling it out.
All right, so we got Texas across the board. I can't say I don't agree, but before we go to break, at the end of the first period, let's check the score. I kind of had to calm down a little bit. I was giving away way too many points at first.
More points.
So we're going to go with 7 for James and 8 for Jake and Zach. I took 5 points off for each of you because I was up to that many already. So I'm still learning, but we'll get there. We'll get there. But when we come back, the panel discusses how good the Texas volleyball team could be this year and makes some bold predictions on the MLB postseason. Welcome back to College Crossfire. Before we get back to business, let's check the scoreboard again. We have 7. I'm so sorry.
Oh.
Whoa, 7, 8, and 8. So I'm so sorry about that. All right.
We'll hold it against you.
Number 4, Texas. Looks like they are in midseason form after beating Northern Iowa and number 14 USC 3-1. 3 players had double-digit kills, led by Logan Eggleston's 16. As we speak, the Longhorns just beat, the Minnesota Golden Gophers, the number 3 Minnesota Golden Gophers in Gregory Gym. After an Elite 8 exit last year, How far do you think the volleyball team can make it in 2019? We're going to start with you.
Well, yeah, I'm certainly no volleyball expert, but I will say this. Texas volleyball has been one of the powerhouse programs since I can remember, honestly. And, this year looks to be no different. I mean, definitely, they fell short of their end goal last season, losing in the regional up at BYU. But, you always have to believe that that's just going to, motivate them this year to come out and really, make it happen. And I think they've always been a good team. People show up at their games here on the 40 acres. I mean, it's a rowdy atmosphere, and so it's a great home court advantage, I guess you can call it. But I'm looking forward to this season. I think they've got some unfinished business, and I think they go pretty far. They might even win a championship.
Oh, all right. Another bold prediction from James here.
Multiple sport championships.
All right, so we have one who thinks they're going to ride the upset wave all the way.
Yeah.
Jake, what about you?
I'm with you. I think the optimism is completely justified, especially given the start that the team's had this season. You look at Texas volleyball right now, and you've got a great mix of returning experience with outside hitters such as Micaiah White, the All-American Big 12 Player of the Year, back in the fold. And then you have a couple of sophomores who have now gotten their feet wet with last year's playoff run, had that taste of success, and are going to know what it takes to get the team back there. Looking at Jenna Gabriel setting or Logan Eggleston hitting. She had a great game against USC just the other night. So I think this Texas volleyball team can go as far as their senior and sophomore leaders are going to take them.
Yeah, this team is very talented. A lot, obviously Micaiah White, the senior, but they do have a lot of young talent that's been very impressive. I want to start out here with the schedule. I think they got a really tough schedule. Jared Elliott did a really good job of getting a tough schedule for this team and making sure that this team could be ready. So in the long run, after Big 12 play, they could be ready for a tournament. So you had USC, you had Minnesota, you have to go to Stanford on Sunday, and you have BYU. Those are really tough matchups. So if they're able to get through the gauntlet of their non-conference schedule, I'm really confident that this team could have a strong run and make it all the way to the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And with how weak the Big 12 is in volleyball, the pre-conference schedule is just that more vital. Zach, you're going to get the point this time because, like you said, the gauntlet could be what puts them over the top.
Of course.
Yeah.
As the smell of fall fills the air, 10 MLB teams are fighting tooth and nail for 4 playoff spots. Some big-name teams like the Chicago Cubs are holding on for dear life, while teams like the New York Mets are looking to surge at just the right time. So, with less than a month to go, who are your dark horse MLB playoff teams? Jake, we're going to start with you.
I'm going to head out to the American League for my dark horse team, and it's a team that's sitting tied for second place in the wild card right now, but I think has a chance to really separate themselves in that AL wild card race, and that's the Oakland Athletics, Moneyball. The A's have played a really tough schedule. Speaking of tough schedules, the A's have played a really tough schedule since the All-Star break. They've had to go to Chicago, played the Yankees twice, they played the Brewers. Now their schedule is going to get a little bit easier. They only play one more team with a winning record in all of September, and they're getting healthy at the right time with big hitters like Ramon Laureano coming back, as well as pitcher Seth Manea. They've got a great closer in Liam Hendricks, so they've got the ingredients, I think, to make a surprise run in the AL wildcard.
Yeah, and you go to the AL, I'm going to go to the NL, and I'm going to go with the New York Mets. I mean, it might be a little hometown bias, but when it comes to New York Mets, this is what it is. You have pitching. You have 5 stud pitchers, DeGrom, Syndergaard. You have Matz. You have Wheeler. These guys are threats, and the Mets made a push to get themselves in this wild card position. They've been a little up and down recently, but their schedule is very favorable down the stretch, especially with 8 home games to end their season. And if they make the playoffs, no team's really going to face that dominant pitching of having to go against DeGrom and then in a 5-game series with those 3. I mean, pitching is what dominates in the MLB, so I really like the Mets.
That's a good point. You don't think they're too far in the hole?
No, I think there's a lot of teams right now in that hole. You got Milwaukee and you still have the Phillies. I think it's right now up and down, and you see team go up one week and then down the next week. It's very up and down. I think the Mets, since their schedule is favorable in my opinion at least, they have a good shot.
All right, we'll have to see. What about you, James?
That's good pitching, Pete Alonso, so there's a shot for sure
Definitely.
for Mets fans. I'm going to go with the defending world champs, all right, the Boston Red Sox. Look, they've been kind of stuck there in, 3rd place in the AL East all season. I know we've heard it all, the pitching, the bullpen's a dumpster fire. Look, there's still time. All right, Alex Cora, the guy's, World Series coach. I mean, he'll be a Hall of Famer. I'm sure this is one of the historically great offensive teams that we've seen. And, there's still time to turn things around. Again, the bullpen has been extremely rough all season, and there's some things they need to fix there. But there's a couple weeks left. If they pick up a few series wins, you know, I have a good feeling the Rays, the A's, one of those teams could trip up and things could get really interesting there in the American League.
Absolutely. I mean, the Red Sox they showed that they can do it. They won the World Series last year.
Yeah.
So you're going to get the point this time.
That's what I'm talking about.
It's hard to go against the
Boston right
defending
there.
champions.
Yeah, of course.
But
That's it.
moving on, the Green Bay Packers and Chicago Bears kick off the NFL season tomorrow night at Lambeau Field. The offseason was filled with players such as Odell Beckham Jr. and Le'Veon Bell change teams, and big-name stars like Ezekiel Elliott holding out for that new contract. With so much excitement building for the regular season, the Super Bowl seems so far away. But as we do here on College Crossfire, we're going to do a way too early Super Bowl predictions.
Love
Why
it.
not?
Zach, we're going to start with you.
Okay, so way too early. I'm going to go in the AFC. We got the Chiefs. In the NFC, we got the Eagles. When it comes to those teams, I love their quarterback play. It's spectacular with Wentz and Mahomes. And I really like just the overall makeup of both teams. I think the Eagles are really primed in an NFC that is deep. There's a lot of teams I like. But I think when it comes to Wentz, I think he can make this next step. And then Mahomes is just an absolute stud. I love Mahomes. And I think he'll beat the Patriots in the AFC Championship and get his revenge.
All right, I don't know if you're trying to play to my emotions. I'm a big Chiefs guy over here, but I see what you're doing. James, what do you got?
You know, I got Steelers Saints. I mean, look, I know I'll catch some flack for the Steelers pick because, you know, you're going to have to get past Kansas City, like Zach mentioned. New England, they're always there. I mean, you got to get over that hump. You know, the Saints, there's unfinished business, of course, after the way last season ended. I think they're going to be determined. Drew Brees, you know, it's kind of his career, it's getting to that point. You know, the time is now. The window's closing. But I think New Orleans are going to be hungry. They're going to make it happen in the NFC. And then Pittsburgh, I think Antonio Brown moves on. He's all the way out West Coast in Oakland. The drama's gone. They can focus. Mike Tomlin, Ben Roethlisberger, he's always solid. I think Juju Smith-Schuster has a huge year. And, you know, they've got a stout defense. So I think they could shock the AFC, and we could see a Pittsburgh-New Orleans Super Bowl.
Yeah, it would definitely be a shock. I mean, a lot of people are high on the Saints, but I haven't heard much buzz about the Steelers. But so that's a bold pick. That's a bold pick.
Yeah.
Jake, what do you
Very
got?
bold
Sure.
pick. Well, I'm sticking with you in the NFC. I like the New Orleans Saints. A lot of unfinished business to tend to there, and a great new addition in Jared Cook to add to that offense. I think we could see him put up Jimmy Graham-type numbers with Drew Brees and adding to the playmakers they already have there and an underrated defense. On the AFC side, this may seem like a safe pick, but it's really not this year. I'm going with the Patriots to get back to the Super Bowl. I just don't think that the Chiefs can stop anybody, and I think that the Steelers just play in a bit too tough of a division. I'm just not so sure that they're going to make it back to the postseason.
All right. Well, I will defend my Chiefs a little bit. They revamped the defense.
They did.
But I'm going to give the point to Zach. The Chiefs and the Eagles seem like a pretty good matchup. Steelers, you kind of got me a little too far. Got me a little too far.
It's a good pick after the Mets meltdown.
Yeah,
I know.
But
Oof,
so Zach,
Mets.
you're gonna get the point.
Okay.
So at the end of period 2, the score we got James with 8, Jake with 8, and Zach with 10.
Ooh.
All right.
Tight.
So, a great debate, guys. Rapid fire is coming up next. Stick around because I have a feeling it's gonna get really heated.
All right.
welcome back to College Crossfire and welcome in to Rapid Fire. Before we get the debate going, let's remind the audience of the score again. I'm going to check it so I don't forget it this time. James, we got 8. Jake, we have 8. And Zach, we are at 10. So remember, in Rapid Fire, every question is worth 2 points, and you know what that means? It's anybody's game.
Yes, sir.
For the first time since 2009, the College Game Day crew is coming to Austin, Texas, with legends such as Kirk Herbstreit, Reese Davis, and Heisman Trophy winner Desmond Howard at the desk. It is always a scene to behold. That's not even mentioning Lee Corso's famous headgear selection. But nothing compares to the hundreds of signs held up behind the broadcasters, donning trash talk and funny sayings. So we are going to jump on a hype train here. What will your College Game Day sign say, or what will it look like? Anybody can go.
I guess I'll start it out. I mean, I'm going to have one that has a picture of Joe Burrows, and it's going to be Joe Burrows doesn't like Matthew McConaughey movies.
Oh.
And it's going to really piss off Texas fans.
All right.
He's the minister of culture,
That's
a professor
strong.
at UT now. That's going to really piss the people off.
That's-
and I think people are going to rally right around that
That's
sign.
strong.
Oof. Yeah, McConaughey not giving him the grade for that sign.
I know.
Some might call this sign a dad joke, bad pun, but it's a sign, tried and true, old as day, LSU. Question mark.
Ooh.
That's simple.
You see it every time.
Simple but effective.
Simple but
I'm a big
effective.
dad joke guy.
Hit him where it hurts.
That's pretty good.
I like that one.
Well, I mean, you know, Jake actually took mine, but it was too
Oh.
boring. So
Whoa.
I had to come up with something better than that.
Oh,
Whoa.
Here's the thing.
what is it?
Okay.
All right. LSU can't handle the heat. Now,
Oh,
I had to tie in weather to this, okay, because it's supposed to be like 200 degrees on Saturday.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, it is Louisiana. I'm sure they
Yeah, well-
practice playing in warm conditions, but, you know, just at the top of my head, LSU can't handle the heat. We'll see what happens.
All right, and LSU was talking about they were practicing outside to prepare for the Texas game.
They're aware of that heat.
I gotta give it to James.
Go
The
on.
heat's in their head.
All good signs, but
Go on.
James with the topical.
Yeah, I
That's
like
that's
it.
good.
Just
That's
relax.
good.
I like it.
Get me out of the doghouse right there.
All right. So College Game Day has decided to set up on the LBJ lawn, leaving us at TSTV Sports to feel a huge opportunity has been missed to showcase some of UT's most spectacular venues, or maybe some students more frequently occupy. So if you were choosing the location for College Game Day, where would you put it?
Wow, you know, I said coming in, I think back in 2009, they had it on the mall in front of the tower. I mean, that's an iconic scene. You know, I think it would have been a given for me. I see J2 up on the that would have been pretty funny. I mean, it would be tough getting all the kids in there, but they'd have to put the close sign up. But no, I think the mall would have been a great. But I think I'm not complaining. Hey, game day's coming to town. It's going to be a great atmosphere wherever they set up. LBJ lawn, let's do it. Fire it up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go with the Capitol building in Austin. I think it'd be really cool to get it a little away from the campus, but do it where you can still see the tower from there, still get a view of the stadium from overhead. Get more people from in the city to go there, just not even the students. But, you know, it's going to be packed. It's game day in Austin, so it's going to be packed for the first time in 10 years.
All right, that's pretty good. What do you got?
Well, if you want to pack it in, you can go to the most packed place on campus. Every student goes there every day, right in the middle of Speedway, with the tower right behind you on the yellow brick road to victory.
A nice long line.
I think you could get a great aerial shot of the fans lining the yellow brick road.
All right, you are walking down the yellow brick road all the way to 2 points.
Yeah, nice.
There we go.
Hey.
And that means the score is all tied up. So
Okay.
whoever takes this question takes the game.
Oh, yeah.
All right, I told you it was going to get heated on the first episode.
Did.
All right, in Texas' Week 1 win over Louisiana Tech, the crowd was loud, the players were great, but the music, well, some people took to Twitter to complain about DKR playing old music. So if you were the DJ at Texas' home games, what would you play?
Wow. I mean,
Tough one.
You know,
No, go ahead.
Anybody can jump in.
Hey, you know, the fight song is good enough, because if they're playing that, that means the horns are doing good on the field. So I'll take that. Now, in terms of the music, you know, I mean, we got Don't Stop Believin'. That's been pretty good, you know, brought to you by the fans themselves. You know, I don't know. You know, what do y'all think? I mean, you can't go wrong with, like, some Journey or...
I don't know. People are saying, but I mean, hey, we got to stick a little country, a little Austin. I mean, Willie Nelson's always a classic.
Oh, okay.
And I think people are going to really respect
That's
the
a
Willie
good-
Nelson
all right.
choice. And I think, hey, I mean, he's an Austin icon, always going to ACL. And I think people are going to hear that and really enjoy it. I think it's the students and the fans involved in it.
All right, that's a good answer.
I don't want this to be the right answer.
Uh-oh.
But I know the one song that would get fans young and old, players on the field, broadcasters in the booth into the game and into the spirit of Texas would be Old Town Road.
Oh, the crowd doesn't like that one.
You
The
know,
crowd doesn't like that one, Jay.
I don't like that one, but it's right.
All right, is it right? I think Willie Nelson is right.
Hey,
Zach,
there you go.
Zach takes home the victory.
Awesome.
Congratulations, Zach. Do we have time for FaceTime? Yeah. Yes, we do. All right, Zach, take it away.
Awesome,
No?
awesome.
What?
I did not hear you.
Yes? No?
No.
No time for FaceTime. I'm so sorry. Wow.
Hey, I got the win. That's all that
All right,
matters.
that is all the time we have for tonight. Congratulations to our winner, Zach. You'll be back next week if you want.
Awesome.
Thank you all for tuning in tonight. Be sure to check out our brand new show this semester, the 1-0 Sports Show, hosted by Thomas Fitch at 7 a.m. every Friday. Also, tune in to College Press Box every Monday at 9:30 p.m. for the latest sports news on the 40 Acres. Don't forget to follow at TSTV Sports on social media. And for all the panelists and everyone in studio and Master Control, we'll see you next week. All right, welcome into our Facebook fans. We have the exclusive FaceTime for Zach. Zach, take it away. The floor is yours.
Hey, I mean, it was great to pick up the first win of the year on College Crossfire. Really great. And, watch. Hey, I want to get to the main point here. College game day coming to town in Austin. It's the first time in 10 years. Everybody's got to come out to that. The Texas Longhorns really need this support. Top 10 matchup in this first one. So, hey, it's LBJ Lawn on the northeast corner of the stadium.
Speedway.
So watch. Everybody come out and enjoy. Speedway was a great location choice. Great location choice, but watch. You got to come out early and enjoy, and who knows, maybe it'll be tented out and see some TSTV people there. Cool.
All right. Always respect a FaceTime that pushes for fan interaction.
Exactly.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll see you next week.